All right, everyone, here's a little bit of a lesson in political journalism here. We've got to focus on Salon because they're completely wrong, so I'm going to school them a little bit. Now, keep in mind, as the election goes on, the primaries on the Democratic side versus Trump, who is the nominee already, I mean, there's not going to be any real resistance to that, I think, unless he dies or something. So Trump versus whatever weirdo the Democrats happen to nominate. As time goes on, be very careful with polling. Like I've always warned people, I still occasionally get people saying, well, did you see Trump is 10 points behind in this poll? Haha, he will lose. Single polls are meaningless. Single poll, yeah, and if I consult Rasmussen, Trump's approval is 52% or something. Don't believe single polls. Salon took the bait because it gives them a juicy story idea. They decided to go down the tabloid route, and instead of like accurate people using RCP or some other decent aggregate for their polling, Salon said, well, a new CNN poll shows a surge for Joe Biden. He's now at, 30-something%. That's not the case. Biden is not surging. Look at the aggregate. You can look at a trend line of the aggregated polls and tell that he's not surging. Not only is he not surging, he's slowly receding down below, downwards of 30%. The fact is that he's still the vast front runner. Warren, I think, would need to gain 10 points in the aggregate to be about even with Biden. There's no reason for me to believe that that's at this particular juncture going to happen. We got to wait and see at the third debate what happens. Third debate, and then we got to start getting some more polling from the early voting states, specifically Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada. That we need before we can sort of have a better clue of what's going on. Best guess, though, is no, Biden's not surging. This is one poll. The other poll that was released literally the same day showed Biden in the mid-20s. Where's the Biden said? That would be below his aggregate. What are you talking about? No, what Salon did is they took the CNN poll and they compared it to the prior CNN poll. So in other words, they're going to trust one polling firm rather than a number aggregated from dozens of polling firms for which you have more statistical information. The more polls that are conducted and in your aggregate, as long as they are reasonably accurate, the better a snapshot of the race you will get. It can't give you the exact number, but it can show you a trend line and it can give you a decent aggregate whose margin of error is going to be lower than an individual poll, with a much larger overall sample size. Again, you can wait, and like Nate Silver does this, everyone else does this, you can wait whether you believe a poll more or less. Like if YouGov comes out with a poll, I give that more weight than I do a Rasmussen poll. If a Harvard-Harris poll comes out, I consider that more accurate than Fox or CNN or an MSNBC poll. And some of the polling firms have a better track record than others. Rasmussen is the one aside I would give, which is that their track record, like in 2016, they were the most accurate. I think YouGov was a slight second. Then in the last midterms, they totally broke down and went back to what's normal based on turnout. Be very careful with Rasmussen. Rasmussen and Gravis are the two to be very careful of. But one CNN poll, it's not an aggregate. It's one number, and the only reason you're saying there's a surge, even the new CNN poll number isn't that much above his aggregated total anyway. That's not a surge. That's stabilization based on the other polls. You're comparing it to a poll from several weeks before by the same polling firm. That doesn't show growth in his coalition. Over that same period in the aggregate, he's lost a point or two. If anyone right now is moving ahead, it's actually Beto O'Rourke, believe it or not. Most of the frontrunners are in decline. Look, Biden, month over month, Biden went from roughly, I think it was 32 to now 29 or 30, thereabouts. Warren peaked at 15, 16. She's lost a couple points in the aggregated sense, although there was one poll that showed her at 20, so she has that solace. Kamala Harris has disappeared. She's getting down near booty judge levels. Sanders has been stable the whole time, lost a little bit of support. It's the bottom quarter of the field that's begun to absorb support. What's happened is that I think a lot of Democrats, at least a fifth or maybe even a quarter of them, don't have faith in any of the front runners. Now, they're backing these lower candidates. They don't care quite as much about electability, except in the sense that they don't think that Biden and Bernie Sanders and Warren and these people are electable. I happen to agree with them, by the way. I think that the most electable person in the race is Pete Buttigieg. I think Buttigieg is the most electable. There are a couple of people near the bottom. Julian Castro, I would have said many months ago, but he's destroyed his campaign by letting his brother do crazy shit. Gillibrand destroyed her campaign. Gabbard is a fanatic on guns, so any right-wing support she could gobble from Trump goes bye-bye. I don't really see anyone else capable of doing it. And the funny thing is, you have all these lower-tier candidates with their little cults of personality. There are some people who think that Andrew Yang is a great guy. He can win. He's wonderful. UBI for the win. And I don't know that they'll tolerate a different person being nominated. A lot of these people that support these lower-level individuals don't even seem to be Democrats in the partisan sense. Some of them seem to be independent voters. Now, it's an important voting bloc, but the Democrats can only have one nominee and one running mate. That means that they can appease the hardened core of one of the people currently running and probably a second person. Now, odds are Biden becomes the nominee. He needs someone younger and preferably female. Instinct shows me Kamala Harris is probably who he would pick. Although I think it would be like a Palin move. Honestly, I think people would look back at it and they would see it as a little bit similar to John McCain choosing Palin and losing the election same day. His choice to put Palin in that position starts off some of the Tea Party bullshit that almost rips the Republican Party apart. John McCain, by the way, crazy dude. There's no Biden surge. It'd be funny if there would be. There might be one, but it's not right now. Salon's wrong. Never trust a single poll. And keep in mind, it's very funny for them to say this because Salon is like far left. They're ideologically progressive, which is socialistic. They should be trying to cherry pick the polls to find out a reason why Kamala's not down for the count or something like that. Why one of their socialist sacred war candidates is at the top. They should be heaping praise on Warren, who wants to eliminate private health care and give free money to Native American groups that she pretends to be a member of or something. That's about all. Peace out.